Hello, it's Nikki. How you doing? Today I want to talk about business baggage and ways to move through it and with it so we can clear the space for the next opportunity and really make who you are and what you're all about and where you're going the most important part of the story. So maybe you know somebody, or maybe as I say this a little bit more, you're like, oh no, I do that. I do that all the time. Is there okay, let me give you an example of how I've witnessed it firsthand before. I used to work as an agent's assistant, and one of my tasks was to find new talent. And I would go and I would have meetings with potential actors or actors who had potential to be part of the agency. And I used to love these. I love being part of people's dream making, essentially. You know, I want to know all the things that they want to do. It really fascinates me. I've always been interested in this version of success. So I would show up ready to rock and roll. And also, this was time away from the desk. This was time away from the office. So I wasn't just doing this for jolly time, because I knew I'd have to catch up later. And so I was really willing these people to essentially be worth my time. Like, come on, tell me everything you've got. Show me that you're ready. Show me that you're talented and that you're going to be a fit. I wasn't there just for a chat. And you would be amazed, or maybe not, how many people would waste that opportunity. And they would spend their whole time in the past, telling me about what hadn't worked, what they wanted, where they were let down, where they were disappointed, how they fell out with somebody, how they felt misunderstood. And sometimes these meetings were only 15 minutes long, because if you're seeing a number of people, you have to limit it in some way. And what would happen is we would get 12 minutes in, and I would be aware of this, and I would have to switch them into, so what do you want now? Why are you here? Where are you going next? And they would then suddenly realize, oh, I've been talking, or maybe they wouldn't realize, sometimes that would happen. Oh, I've been talking about this other stuff, and I have forgotten about all the other stuff I actually want to do. And I feel that it comes up for so many of us all the time. Because when we are creating life and business from the heart, from our own skill set, from things that light us up, that make us feel connected and on purpose, and like we're living out who we're supposed to be and in the world, it can be emotional sometimes. Especially if there's been conflict, especially if there's been disappointment, especially if there is impatience. However, it is your job to do that work. And you might be like, well, I can't do all the things because it's too much. There has to be a way to make this work, because otherwise, okay, let's fast forward the other option. What's going to happen if you continue to hold on to these stories of the past and take them into every single meeting, opportunity, face-to-face, collaboration, potential opportunity, etc.? What's going to happen? Well, firstly, you're going to be known as that person that tells those stories, that says how that agent treated you, or how you had that meeting and it didn't work out and they were late, and whatever it might be. And secondly, over time, that is going to take up the most amount of headspace for you, because the more you spend in that headspace, the less likely it is that you're going to be creating the new stuff. And what will happen is, staying in that old space, over time, it will just get bigger and bigger and gnarlier and more unpleasant, and maybe a bit more exaggerated, and it will become a thing and it will begin to define you. And so if you're watching this and you know you want to go bigger, if you know you want to start opening the next level of opportunities, I want to give you some ideas today to really clean this up. And it's going to be in 3 parts. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're following along, and make sure you get all the parts. So the first thing that I want you to do is to write all these things down and almost have a business baggage blurt out on your piece of paper. So I want you to write down every time you've been disappointed, every time you felt hurt, every time where you've been frustrated or impatient, or somebody screwed you over, or something that is still lurking in the background that you're like, oh, why did I say that? Oh, why was I late on that day? Why did I mess that thing up? Why didn't I prepare? And I want you to be really honest with yourself and do this in a very safe environment, because sometimes it can be painful. However, once it's out there on your piece of paper, my intention is that you will feel so much better, because once you name it, once you label it, you'll understand what it is. And once you know what it is, once you've labeled it, you can then do something with it, rather than just having this like stuff going on. That's what it feels like for me when I have stuff in my head, or sometimes it's a feeling, sometimes it's a smell, or you get triggered and I'm like, why am I feeling like that? What is underneath here? What's going on underneath the surface? So that is the first task. The second thing is being willing to let it go. And this has been really interesting for me. And this is about linking back to your goals. So when I grew up, nobody in my point of reference wanted to do what I wanted to do. I didn't even know any creatives. It was the school that I went to, even though, it was a very standard comprehensive school. It was all about safety and security and ticking boxes. They wanted you to become teachers or doctors or a lawyer or an estate agent, or to have a trade, to have a craft, to have a skill. And they almost wanted to just quickly usher you into one particular thing. So then when I show up, I'm like, I want to act, I want to create, I want to help people, I want to speak on stages, I want to have a podcast. They weren't sure about any of that. It was like, what are we going to do with her? What are we going to do with her? And so even when I moved down to London at 18, this is interesting. I had overly grateful energy. I was so humble. I was so in that space of like, I just couldn't believe it that I'd actually been granted a place. I couldn't believe it that I actually made it there. Not made it, but like made it to London. I had this really nauseating, now when I look back, like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful, I'm so happy. I love a gratitude chat as much as anybody, but sometimes we have to own, I've worked bloody hard for this. And the result that I have now created is because I have built those foundations. It's because I showed up every day. It's because I chose this rather than this. So after a while, the success was inevitable. The coming and going to drama school at 18 was inevitable after a while, because I did everything in my power to make that happen. And I also, alongside that, have been so humble and so grateful, and that lurked around for so many years, I can't tell you. I also lived a lot in scarcity. I lived in, and this was also this sense of society, or all the shows like X Factor, that wasn't quite coming in, but Pop Stars and all of that, was that there would be one chance, there would be one lucky break. And so in a way, I was almost like always on the hunt. It was almost like, oh, looking for the perfect person that you're going to marry. Like, is this the person? Is this the one? Like, I had that kind of nervy energy because I didn't want to miss it. Like, what would happen if the perfect opportunity came by and I was like not awake for it? What would happen then? And so therefore, I would go into situations almost with this needy energy of like, is this the one thing? Is this going to make all my dreams come true? Is this the lucky break that I want? And what happens when you go into situations with needy energy is people go, wow, she's got needy energy. Wow, that's quite a lot. And what people want to do is repel. They want to stand back. They don't want to be part of that thing. And then what I realized was, the more that I did this, the more compassion that I had for myself, the more I continued just to put myself in the room or any of the rooms, I realized that there was an abundance of opportunities. And there were so many different ways where something could happen, something could shift, something could move. And for the most part, if I kept myself in that like, hi, I'm just here to have a lovely time, that is when the stuff would happen, and it would happen quickly. I remember getting one of the biggest jobs of my career because I was being, and I'm not going to go into the situation, but I was being my truest self and showing what I was all about in somebody's living room. That is literally how I landed. I didn't have to audition. I didn't need to do a reading. I didn't need to go through a process. It was a yes, 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 yes. And that went on to open so many doors because I was being that person. So the second thing I want you to analyze is, are you being really grippy? Do you have like that needy energy of like, hi, I don't want to waste the time. You know when you've been into meetings with people and they have that like, I really want this. And that is your opportunity to shift that and ask yourself if it's useful. Now, of course, you can go so far down the other way where you're beyond casual for the situation. That doesn't work either, because people can feel where it's like, yeah, I'm not really bothered. People can feel that. So it's about finding that sweet spot of, I am ready and I'm available, but if it's not this, it's something else. And that is a really interesting energy to play in, because that means that you are essentially detached from the outcome. As Daniel Priestley says, and if you haven't read his books, I would check them out. I'll link them down below. It's called With or Without You energy. It's almost like going out on a girls' night out and being like, I might meet the person of my dreams, but I might not. I might just have a nice time with my girls. It's like with or without you. It's not like, I mean, I haven't been to a club for a long time, but that sense of like, right, I'm going to find them. Guess who? No, they're not going to be right there. No, oh, that one, maybe. Yes, great. You don't have to go in with that. I hope you've got lots from today. My main instruction / invitation to you is to be honest. And when you think you've written down all of those things, all of those gnarly things, write down 5 more and allow that piece of paper, that running notebook to lurk around. Because once you've unlocked that, they'll start to come out. And so just be really gentle with yourself today, but write them all down. See what comes up to play, and I'll see you in part 2. Lots of love. Bye.